I had written songs for films before, but it had been quite a while since I took on a project like this. And while I was in the cycle a year ago writing for the band, once you knock the rust off, which is typical, you start to develop a voice, and then if you're really on a roll, you start getting outside of that wheelhouse, and you're writing for other people, and then in this case, for other projects. So I reminded myself that I had written some things for film before, and I called up my old agent in the film business, and I asked him if there was anything brewing. And he said that there was this one particular film called Stand Up Guys, but it wasn't even green lit yet. And I said, well, send me the script. Let me see if it's something that is for me. And that was on a Monday. On the Tuesday, I received the script. By Wednesday, I had written Old Habits Die Hard. Sent it back to them, and by Thursday, they were calling me saying, wow, we think this is one of the best things you've done. And I said, I agree. I enjoyed it immensely. And I started to say, it should go here in the film. This is how I want to record it. This is who I want to produce it. And they said, whoa. The film's not even going for 3 months if we're lucky. So I had to, bide my time, wait a minute. And then after they started the production, I was invited to LA to watch one day on the set. By that time, I was so into the character and the voice of these two guys that I didn't even want to break that wall and go and introduce myself. In truth, I decided to stay away because what was on the page, I witnessed through the little monitor, and I said they've captured what I imagined. And so Tom Rosenberg, the producer of the film, he had suggested that he could use a second song, and I said, I've got it. I'll get back to you soon. And I wrote Not Running Anymore. And when you're in that character, and Al Pacino, the star of the picture, is seeking absolution in a confessional. It's a very interesting place to write a song from. So it was both pleasing and challenging at the same time. Well, I find it easy, to tell you the truth, to write to a script, because somebody's already given you, the beginning, middle, and an end of your book, of your movie.
Right.
And so for me to just, take on that character, what was great about it was there was a series of accidents. It wasn't as if I'd come in at the end of the project and there was the movie, and then you get the inspiration to write something. I had to imagine what this thing was. So as a matter of fact, I got so deep into it that I flipped the characters, and I thought Walken's character was Pacino's and vice versa. It wasn't until I went out to the set that I confirmed that it was the other way around. But I find it pretty easy. If these characters on the page are compelling, to write something specific to who and what they are. When you're writing a song, if you're stuck for a line, you could always say, and then the moon was shining. You could look the other way. But if you're in a conversation, in a script, Old Habits Die Hard, you look like shit. So do you, my brother. I miss you too. Yeah, you dumb stupid mother. And then they're walking down, they go into his apartment, and a cheap welcome home sign, which was literally hanging on the wall, and a bottle of red. At least you got your freedom in this old pull-out bed. Because the first thing Pacino does is complain. He goes, "That's my room." He goes, "Hey, it's free, it's freedom." And he was sleeping on the pull-out couch. But you are stuck with what the picture gives you,
Right.
And then but yet I found it easy to do. Having done Young Guns all those years ago, I was aware that the theme of Young Guns, the guitar part that Jeff Beck ultimately played, should have been used in the score. They didn't even give me a chance to argue for that 22 years ago. This time around, I said, believe me, this has to be the theme in the score, incorporated. When we go in, I want to sing it to picture, because if I blindly sang it and handed you a record and said, stick it where you want,
Right.
I might be singing on 10, but the scene calls for you to sing it on 2. You know what I'm saying? So the intimacy of the scene. So I asked Fisher Stevens, who directed the film, the editor, the music supervisor, and Lyle Workman, who did the score, to please come when the cut was done to the recording studio and allow me to perform it to picture. So I actually recorded the songs 4 times to do what was right for the film, what was right for the record, what was the original demos, which were sung into my iPhone, and then one time to make sure that the songs worked in my studio with a completely different setup and band. Right. So I really worked through these things a number of times to get them where they are.